Overachieving concept stuck, insecure overachievement. Yeah. So actually, I wasn't going to bring that up, Yvonne, but that was an interesting point that Sarah made actually about when you combine a need to achieve, or particularly a need to overachieve, like relentless pursuit of more, combined with an insecurity, you kind of don't challenge that, and you get these kind of cultures and companies where people feel insecure, so they feel like they have to achieve in order to be successful, and they get into this really negative cycle where like maybe a confidence gremlin is combined with this need to achieve, and it can be really, really hard. And when organizations sort of prey on that a little bit, like you're not going to succeed here unless you achieve, it creates really toxic environments, so not fun. Sam says, I feel for me there is attachment, productivity and achievement that has to be there. Yeah, I actually think sometimes a need to achieve can be combined with a confidence gremlin. So for example, I like to be responsive. I like people to think that I'm on it. So I think I have a confidence gremlin of like, if I'm not doing things, then I'm not being successful or effective. And so you combine that confidence gremlin with a need to achieve, and it becomes quite toxic, to be honest, because I'm like, well, I've always got to be doing things in order to be valuable, in order to contribute. And those things have always got to be like loaded with achievement. So you can create loads of pressure. So I do think it's interesting to think about, where is this need to achieve coming from? Is there a confidence gremlin behind the scenes that is adding to the challenge that you might be facing? What else have we got here? Buried my head in shame. Making me a prime candidate for topic. Okay, yeah. So I haven't brought that out today, but on the in the podcast, we did like 8 questions so that you could sort of assess this sort of overachievement bias that you might have. And they're on the pod sheet as well. So again, if you haven't got time to listen, it might be worth going onto the website. If someone from the team can maybe put the link into the page on the website, that'd be great. Because you can download the pod sheet there and it's got those 8 questions in. So what's Barnaby saying? Thanks, Barnaby. I think there can be a significant gap between true personal achievement and achievement that only suits the business only, like personal versus professional achievement. Yeah, I may have one over achievement. Okay, everybody. So let's talk about some definitions. Because what we didn't want to say is that having a need to achieve is bad. Like, I don't think it is. Achievement in of itself is not a bad thing. It's not bad to want to go after your goals. I don't think that's a bad thing. So the definition that we had for achievement was that it's being motivated by high performance and getting to a desired outcome. So achievement in itself, I don't think is a bad thing. In fact, I think it is positive that people have goals they want to go after. I think that is an important thing. So it gives people focus, it helps people support each other. I think, achievement in of itself, I think is a positive thing. The issue is when it strays into this territory. So this is the issue, is overachievement. When you become consumed by the relentless pursuit of more, like you don't reflect on your achievements, you don't celebrate them with other people, you don't sort of see how far you've come and what you could do differently next time. It's this feeling that achievement isn't satisfying you because you can almost never be satisfied. And I think that is when it can become quite a big challenge for people. What's Sam saying? I feel like an organisation has to work on coordinating the tasks that are wanted to cater towards the main mission of the organisation. Yeah, so cool. I also kind of think discussing achievement, like what are you working towards, and discussing that as a team is also quite important, because otherwise you can have like everyone has these sort of achievement goals that aren't necessarily connected. So I think that's important. I wanted to get a bit of a sense, and this will be anonymous, everybody. Let me make sure it's anonymous now. I've said that it's going to be anonymous. I wanted to get a sense from you as a group of where you think you set on this spectrum. So if potentially some of us have an achievement bias, do you think that's low? So are you actually maybe a bit ambivalent about achievement? It's not a big driver for you. It's not, the achievement is not the thing that motivates you. Have you got like a medium achievement bias, like you like achievements but you're not obsessed about it? Or have you got a super high achievement bias? Are you like all about the achievements? Stars on screen, everybody. Where do you sit on this scale? For everybody that is new and who's thinking, what on earth are people doing? If you go towards the top of your Zoom screen, you will see view options. So click on that and then go annotate and then stamp and then star. So view options, annotate, stamp and star. Sarah has stuck that into chat for you, so hopefully that will help. Let's get a little bit of sense. Interesting. And out of interest, if you are brave enough to share, and this is like a safe community, let me know in chat, what do you think drives your need to achieve? So as a group, look, we're medium to high. I don't know if that's reflective of everybody, but I would say we're quite a biased community. Like, we are people who are really keen on career development, aren't we? That's why we're here. That's why you're spending 30 minutes of your Thursday morning here. So we're a little bit biased as a group in terms of development. So I don't quite know if this is reflective of the general population, but what do you think drives your need to achieve? So for Zana, being a minority in my workplace, so presumably you're feeling like you have to fight against maybe bias in the workplace, and that's kind of part of who you are. I don't know if Zana, I'm sort of assuming there. A need for stimulation. Yeah, so Lynn's kind of that drive to do something different is what's going on there. Katie saying, depends on the context. Early childhood, interesting, right? Have we sort of felt like we've needed to do that from being younger, the good girl? Onyeka, proving stereotypes wrong, absolutely. Need for validation, praise. Yeah, I think there's quite a lot of like confidence stuff that is actually at the root of a lot of this, which makes you think, as well as what I'm talking about today, it might be useful to unpick the confidence stuff. So we've got loads of episodes on confidence gremlins. We've got an ebook on confidence gremlins as well, which is on our website, that might be useful if you kind of think maybe this is a confidence gremlin that's driving this achievement behavior. Yeah, I can see Nick saying insecurity, Dorota, like this need for recognition. Okay, so just interesting, I think, to just be aware of what's driving this bias for achievement, because the danger is that when we are super high orientated in terms of our achievement, tipping into the overachievement, we become quite blinkered. So we don't necessarily bring people with us. We don't get that sense of fulfillment. We can come across as quite selfish, and ultimately we're not necessarily enjoying the work that we're doing. So when we are straying or staying in this overachievement orientation, it's not great for you. It's not great for the people that you work with either. So that's why we kind of want to understand where it's coming from and perhaps do something different as well. So let us talk a little bit more about the doing something different. I thought we could have a bit of a breakout now. Okay, now optional breakout. I've got two things. I'm gonna propose that we do a breakout. For people that want to, because we haven't done one for a while, and I know people like doing them, but I also know that some people can't do them. So don't panic if you're like, Helen, I can't do a breakout. I'm on a train or whatever it is. So we're going to do a breakout for, I think we'll just do it for 6 minutes, something like that. I'm going to put you in a group with 3 to 4 people. And the things for you to discuss are, when has a drive to achieve worked for and against you? You know what I was saying? I don't think it's always bad to want to achieve. I think it's just when it strays into the other bit that it's kind of negative. So I'm going to open the breakout rooms. If you want to go into a breakout room and discuss this with some lovely like-minded learners, which you all are, and connect with a couple of other people, please just like click join. If you don't want to, or you can't because of whatever you're doing right now, please don't worry, just stay in this bit with me. Okay, I just want to give people the opportunity to talk to each other. So let us see. And then if you never want to do a breakout again, give me some feedback and I will never do them again in PodPlus. So I'm going to do I'm going to put 3 to 4 people in a room, just because that means, why is that not working? Come on, breakout. Yeah, that means that basically people don't want to join. There'll always be someone in there with you. Just give me a minute while these rooms are opening so I can make sure that nobody's on their own. And then anyone that stays in here, we'll just have this chat together. So rooms are opening now for 6 minutes, and then we'll all come back together. We'll share a few insights before I give you the ideas for action. So hopefully we've kind of had a bit of a deeper reflection on when this might work for us or against us. What I wanted to do today was to recap a little bit on some of the ideas for action. So when it doesn't work for you, and whatever that looks like, because it's quite individual, what can you do differently? So on the podcast, we talk about the difference between focusing on improvement versus focusing on achievement. So I think when we're focusing on achievement, you kind of get one win and then you're like, how do I make it bigger? How do I make it bigger? Like, it's like even bigger if, like, that's the thing that we're going after all the time. It's like the achievement in of itself isn't that satisfying. It becomes the next thing you want to celebrate. So slightly ironically, in the week that we've done a podcast on achievements, we got quite a big achievement this week. So we got 3 million downloads of the Squiggly Careers podcast this week. And I was like, oh, the irony of getting that achievement this week. But rather than thinking, focusing on improvement, if I was sort of overachievement orientated, I'd be like, okay, well, done 3 million. How do we get to 6? That would be like, how do we double it? And it's not sort of reflecting on the achievement in the moment, it's just projecting to the next one. Now, I think what is a healthier thing is for you to think, what would even better if look like? So rather than doing the even bigger if, like how do we get to the next goal, like actually pausing and going, okay, so if we've got to 3 million, and if we do get to 6 million, how would it be even better if by the time that we got there? So what I'm not saying is like I'm motivated by doubling the amount of people that listen to the Squiggly podcast, because we want to help more people. I'm not sort of denying that that's a goal that I would like to go after, but it's how you go after that goal. So it's saying, well, how can I make it even better if when I get to that point? How can I make PodPlus more effective? How can we make the tools that we share? Like genuinely, this has helped Sarah and I to think about. We would really love, you know, our podcast like isn't like an entertaining listen. Like there are other podcasts for entertaining listens. But we want to be a useful listen. And so we're thinking like, how could our podcast be one of the things that like is like the most popular podcast in a company, you know, like so people could use it in a team meeting. That's what we want. We want people to talk about our podcast together. And so this framing of, well, what would make it even better if that's what we're trying to do, is a really helpful reframe for yourself, or if you're a manager or a mentor and you get a bit of a sense that people like they're never fulfilled by what they're achieving. I think it's a good reframe. One of the main things for me is clear and concise information. Brilliant. Okay, so yeah, just maybe thinking about that reframing, a useful one. Second thing is balance the bias. So a couple of people, when I was in the main room here with people that didn't go into the breakout, this was coming up a little bit. Like when you put all your achievement eggs in one basket, i.e. like your job, you can become maybe a little bit blinkered and you get really affected. Like if you're not achieving in that particular basket, to take this a bit further, like on that project or in that job, it can feel like your development's a disaster, because all of that achievement orientation has gone into one place. But if we can think a bit more broadly, so if you can, here we go, let's put some other baskets on the screen. That's a rear view mirror. Wait, we're coming to that next. I shouldn't have done that. Oh no. There's too many rear view mirrors, everybody. Right. If you can put your achievement bias in a few different places. So for example, if we think, well, how am I achieving outside of work? Like what projects am I involved in? What stuff matters? So part of the reason why I'm a trustee for a charity is because I'm also on the business development fundraising committee. So my bias for achievement, by helping that charity achieve, it means that I get my need to achieve fulfilled, but in more than one place. And then the thing that I have really found helpful, because I have such a strong need to achieve, one of my values is achievement, is when I think about, well, how do I help other people achieve? That has been a really, really positive reframe for me. And I really care about it. Like, I think the thing to do there is to like be specific about, well, how can I help them? So I've realized that I'm good at helping people's like ideas and businesses grow. So I can fulfill my need to achieve by helping their business to grow, by helping their idea get bigger. And it's just balance the fixation for me on work being the sole source of my achievement. I'd really recommend doing that. I don't know if anybody, it takes the pressure off. It really does, Barnaby. And it means that, like, you know, if just work's just like not doing it for you right now, like you're going through a restructure, there's some kind of freeze, you've got a manager that's dreadful, it means that your identity, your kind of achievement orientation is not so affected by it, because you kind of go, okay, well, that's not great right now, but I'm helping and I'm achieving in these other areas too. It's also why I've studied at the same time as working. Like if you've got an achievement orientation, like studying kind of fulfills it quite a lot, right? Because you submit assignments and you get marks, and like gives you loads of that stuff. So having a few different baskets to put your achievement eggs in is, I think, quite beneficial for your development. And I would literally like draw the baskets. I know it's a funny analogy, but I'd literally think, well, what are my other baskets? So I have like the charity stuff. I have this thing that I'm doing this year called Care and Share, where there's people whose initiatives I care about and I want to share my skills to help them. So that's one of my baskets. Obviously, I've work. I'd quite like a learning basket. I've not got that one at the moment. So that's an empty basket that needs filling for me. Recognizing, exactly that, Jamie. I think it's just a visual way of doing it. And then the last thing, here's the rear view mirror. I spent time drawing this mirror this morning on the train. The reason I've done a rear view mirror for you is because one of the other things we talked about, and I've had a massive reflection on this actually this week, is rear view review. So think about achievements that have felt really meaningful for you in the past. So if I think about achievements that I am sort of emotionally connected to, I would say things like I worked on a business called Virgin Red, and it was starting that from scratch with like a brilliant manager. Like the achievement for me actually is the idea getting off the ground, like not really the launch of the business, the idea getting off the ground was I'm really proud of. I'm proud of like surviving MBA plus baby plus work. I'm proud of Sarah and me. It's not the goals. I'm proud that we are friends and we've been friends for like 20 years and we've like have used that friendship as the foundation for our business. Like I'm proud of that. Now, I think when you do a rear view review and you think, well, what achievements are you really proud of? It helps you to think, well, are the things that I'm actually going after now that meaningful? Like if that on reflection is what I'm proud of, is the stuff that I'm spending time working towards right now giving me more of that? Or am I being distracted by some shiny objects that other people think are important, for example? And I had this like reflection, and I sent Sarah a message yesterday. So we've had quite a few like achievements this week. So we've had, which on the surface look quite shiny. So 5th HBR article's come out, the Squiggly Career video book has launched, and we've got this like big podcast number. And I was reflecting on it that it didn't feel that meaningful to me. Like obviously really big shiny moments, but the reason is because Sarah's sort of, going through everything that she's going through. It doesn't really matter if I've not got her to sort of share it with. And it really made me think about what makes your achievements meaningful, because otherwise you can get really distracted by stuff that is shiny on the surface and you won't find fulfillment in it. So actually the reason my achievements in work are meaningful is because I get to do it with my best friend, and that like matters immensely. And if I'm not doing it with my best friend, then it's just an achievement on the surface. So I would really, the rear view like review and just thinking about what makes your achievement meaningful, I think is a worthwhile thing to reflect on. So this is a summary that I've been doing I did the last couple of times. You liked it. The pod sheet is the best summary, but this is kind of the three things that we have talked about today. So kind of that idea of it's kind of the improvement and the outcome. So the even better if, not just the even bigger if, and those kind of different things that we've talked about there. So I hope that has been helpful. As ever, pod mail, if you don't get it, comes out every Tuesday. You can sign up for it on the website, on the podcast page, and the pod sheets have got all the summaries of things we talked about and the survey in particular. So worth maybe having a look at that if you want to talk about it in your team, like help us take it into teams, talk about overachievement in teams and what you could do differently together so that you could help each other improve. Might be a good discussion to take away. Right, I'm going to leave it there for you now, everybody. Hopefully you have a brilliant rest of your week.